thanks again to a viewer who has made a donation, a tip. Um, really appreciate it. I'm really blown away by it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And to the viewer who donated and asked if I could play some Tansman, I think I misread it the first time. I said Taniev, but I went back and reread it, and I'm pretty sure it's Tansman, and Penderecki. Um, Penderecki wrote for cello. I could do some not transposition, arrangement of Tansman. I don't think he wrote any cello music, or at least I don't see any on the IMSLP page, which is in stuff in public domain. But anyway, that'll be a little bit further coming because it's a whole lot more work to do. Penderecki is a whole lot of work, and I am in not I'm in no good shape right now for sure. I mean, I'm full of excuses, but Penderecki really is a lot of work. It's a huge amount of work. I guess because it's a request of a donor, of a tipper, I'd be willing to do non-public domain work, and my video will be flagged most likely. I don't know if it'll affect anything. I don't earn anything from YouTube anyway. But as long as I don't get a strike, so I don't have to start a new channel, that'd be nice. Yeah, today just wanted to play a little bit more. I just want to play. I just really want to play, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about following up a little bit on the Schlemmüller, and why, a little bit more on why practicing the way that I'm suggesting I think is a good idea for most of us, if not all of us, and how those practice habits produce the results we get. So first, I'm just going to play a little bit. I played Rachmaninoff Danse Orientale quite a little while ago, but I love this piece so much, and I'm freezing. My hands are cold. I haven't played hardly anything except for one lesson earlier today. Here it goes. And also, I highly doubt that the microphones are working, but don't know why. I have no idea why. The option is there that the microphones be used in my webcam YouTube live stream, but apparently just the computer system microphone is being used. So whatever. I can hear it through my headphones. The sound is so much clearer. Yeah. Okay. Well, so much for a nice playthrough. But anyway, I, it's been a really rough. It's been a really rough last 7 years. Oh my goodness, you have no idea. But anyway, why practice? Developing certain habits while you practice. In a live stream yesterday, I talked about the Schlemuller 20 pieces. This is Opus 19, where he starts on open strings, adds 2 fingers at a time, does 2 strings, does 3 strings, goes across in pairs, mixes note values, starting with whole notes, dotted half notes, mixed half and whole, string crossings at the upper half of the bow, string crossings at the lower half of the bow, depending whether you're going up the string or down the string, from lower to higher string or higher to lower string. And then different varying articulations, speeds or tempo, slurs, triplets, dotted rhythms, and it never goes above first position. These things, I don't even know why I went through that whole thing. It doesn't even really matter that much. But the whole idea behind the PDF and the videos that I've created really is an outpouring of two burdens on my soul. The first one being primarily because I have always felt that I have lacked an enormous amount of technical ability and also just the ability to focus and do what I need to do rather than um, shirking the responsibility of focusing on it, or worse yet, getting angry because I can't do it. Which latter is unfortunately the case most of the time in my life. Was the case most of the time. Uh, the second issue that weighs heavy on my heart, or I feel it's very important to me, is because of the first one, I want my students who I see struggling not to deal with the same issues. So I want them to develop better habits, even though I myself feel I lack greatly. Sometimes I really feel like I shouldn't be teaching because I just can't represent on a very high level. Um, that's a topic for another video. What habits we develop make a big difference. I had habits that were somewhat akin to this, and I unfortunately I see this. I'm reverting back to my teenager self, where I was doing stuff like this. I was playing with a my thumb was just jammed into the frog here, and my fingers were just as stiff as boards. And I don't play it exactly like that, I realize, but sometimes I feel like it because I see my fingers up and my arm is just kind of going back and forth. I had developed for some time, I thought was a rather ideal way of flowing. And I used to feel quite good. I rarely felt any ache, not pain. I never felt pain after I corrected these things, but sometimes I would feel ache because I reverted somewhat back to stiff fingers. I want my students not to experience that. Number two, left hand. I always had the issue of playing out of tune, and people would let me know. I just played out of tune, and I, for whatever reason, could not find the intonation. I just didn't feel secure at all. Never. In fact, I still feel so insecure about it, and that's why maybe I come across as rather negative. Um, because I'm constantly thinking back to the old times. I know I should put it away, but about how awful I would play, how out of tune I would play, and teachers would let me know how badly I played, and that well, what am I thinking about, or how come I can't hear it, or very unhelpful things. But I don't know why I keep thinking about that. I realize they were incredibly unhelpful, unteaching ways of teaching. Uh, and I don't want my students to feel that way either. So I do my best to. This is a silly, long-winded talk. This is a really silly, long-winded talk. I realize that. And you may not even be able to hear me because it's recording through my computer mic. I can see that now. I'm right next to the microphones, but my green dots on my screen are like one or two dots at most. And I have no idea why it's not allowing YouTube is not allowing my mic to be used, even though it's selected. Who knows? Who knows? I can't figure this digital stuff out. I don't know. I try to. I read and I watch videos and I can't figure it out. Maybe somebody can help me. I cannot pay you. I have no money to pay anybody, but maybe you could help me out regardless. That would be great. Um, what are the habits then? So maybe it wasn't worthless, maybe it wasn't too long-winded because these are all habits that can be grouped into the larger picture of habit. When it comes to specific technique, habit, as I've already stated or I've already observed, stiff fingers are not going to do. Likewise, stiff fingers or faulty left hand fingers are not going to do either. It's going to result in it's going to result in pretty bad intonation and just sluggish playing. And you can see that as I was playing that Dance Oriental in the previous video, one of the previous videos, Gultermann, Opus 117, Sehnsucht or longing. You can see it all over the place. Kind of stiff fingers and just not very good playing overall. Although I feel like I know where I'm going and which notes to play. It's just kind of like clunky, very clunky playing. So with that left-hand pizzicato thing, that is a way of creating a habit of having curled fingers and getting stronger fingers too, I might add. I mean, you can feel everything moving all the way to up through here quite readily. You feel muscles moving both on the bottom side and the upper side, upper part of the forearm. And over here, you can feel muscles moving as well, of course. So oftentimes, I think we see results of students not developing habits that will create more natural feel in their playing, because it's very unnatural to be stiff fingered, right? No, who walks around like this? um, any person that is quite normal physically does not walk around with stiff fingers. I challenge anybody to go find 99% of the population walking around with stiff fingers or stiff arms and, kind of robotic. Nobody does it. Now, you might also argue, okay, maybe people don't really walk around with extremely curled fingers. However, more of a bend to the finger is more natural and more common than straight, just perfectly straight fingers, obviously. But going back to this, I think the sheer amount of just sheer muscle building is going to benefit a lot because we're just not used to using our fingers in such a quick and, in a way, forceful method. So being able to do that handily is very good. Let's say one more thing. I'm going to say one more thing. And that is, I'm going to go back to what I mentioned, it must have been 2 months ago now, playing. Just the sheer practice of playing, or the discipline of playing also builds habits. And of course, if you're doing these little warm-ups, these little exercises to create good habits, then while you're practicing, just while you're playing, in fact, you're going to be working on developing some pretty nice technique. Right now, my fingers are pretty cold. I'm in a place that is uninsulated. Don't know why. That's how they do it here. I'm baffled. It's baffled can be. It's uninsulated, so any heating that goes into it just gets sucked out. I mean, it's like money gone. As soon as you turn it off, it's gone. There's no residual heat. So I don't really heat things that much unless I know I'm going to need it. So when I did the Rachmaninoff the first time, I had been practicing regularly, almost 5 days a week for probably two, maybe 3 weeks in a row. I think it was just two, but it made a huge difference. And each day, what did I say? 2 hours a day for 5 days a week, something like that. It was close to 2 hours. And the first time I played, I felt like I did a pretty representative job. I was starting to feel fairly relaxed, fairly normal, almost like a cello player again. On the contrary, this particular time, I did not feel at all like a cello player. I felt like a clunky clown, basically, a mime trying to fake my way through it. Although I know what to do, it's like everything doesn't work properly. Something like that. It just makes a huge difference. All right. I guess that's that. I'm going to try my hand at some more Christmas tunes without looking at a note. Let's see what I can come up with today. Hey, no mistakes. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not pushing my luck. Anyway, thank you so much again to the tip giver. It's creating just a tiny bit of tiny bit of confidence, a little extra. It also is just really good to know that somebody is thinking about me. Right, the PDF. There are several PDFs about cello, early cello learning, beginning cello. There's one about guided practice, and there's one that is kind of like a guided practice in a way. It's a bunch of etudes that I collected. They're all older etudes, public domain stuff. But I put them together in such a way. These are two separate PDFs, by the way, the Schmuller guided study, and then this collection of etudes. This collection of etudes has some annotations, little few markings in the scores, but I put them together from various cellist composers, these pedagogues of cello, in such a way that each of the composers I took from, each of the teachers I took from they move on very quickly from one technique or one stage. So I thought it was very helpful when I was learning to be able to, if I wanted to, play multiple etudes or or just very simple exercises in one stage, one level, and then go on to the next level rather than just one or two. So that's the idea there. It's nothing grand. Um, it goes from open strings to using all four fingers across all four strings. Thanks so much for watching.